It's been almost half a decade since I started my career within finance, and when I think back on my journey, there's been only 3 fundamental skills that allowed me to break into the industry and also advance my career to this point. Whether you want to work in banking, corporate finance, or any other related field, I firmly believe that this is the foundation for setting yourself apart, and the last skill that we'll cover is absolutely critical if you want to be earning more than 6 figures or multiple 6 figures a year in your career. All right, skill number 1 is the most important technical skill that you could learn right now, and it is the biggest reason why applicants get denied from roles, even if they're already in the interview process. It's financial modeling, and while you're most likely familiar with the term, what a lot of people fail to realize is that the highest paying companies out there typically have a case study round to test how good you are at modeling, and they're usually timed. So no matter how much interviewers like you, if you can't build financial models well, you're most likely not going to make the cut. So let me explain what you should focus on to quickly pick this skill up. See, when people starting out think about financial modeling, they begin to study DCF models or financial statement models and view Microsoft Excel as an entirely separate skill set, but it's not. Becoming an expert in Excel is mandatory to becoming a good financial modeler, and you could learn to do both at the same time by picking up these 3 must-haves. Firstly, learn to use Excel entirely without a mouse. I'm not kidding. If you want to model quickly for competitive finance roles, you got to make this a priority. There are a ton of videos on this, but specifically I want you to get to the point where you are familiar with most of the Alt key shortcuts within Excel. Secondly, learn as many of the most used formulas and tools within Excel and learn when to use them. There is so much more to learn than this list, but here's a really good starting point. In quick bonus, learn how to format financial models similar to the standard for investment banking. A good rule of thumb for any spreadsheet is to color inputs or hard codes blue, calculations or formulas black, and links to other spreadsheets within the same file as green. All right, now that you've got Excel down, you're ready to build some financial models, but you shouldn't just do this blindly and spend hours building a DCF model if you're not going to pursue a field where DCF models are used. I know this sounds like common sense, but the third thing that you're going to want to do is build financial models from scratch that are specific to the field that you're going to end up pursuing. So for investment banking, that might heavily weigh more on learning how to build DCF models, merger models, LBO models, or IPO models. Whereas in something like corporate finance, you'd want to spend a lot less time on those and far more time building out 3 financial statement models. Learn Excel, learn how to build financial models from scratch within Excel, and then experiment with those models to see how each of the inputs can affect the rest of the model. The more you know about your particular field, the quicker you're going to be able to pick up any model that comes your way, and that's why skill number 2 is going to save so many of you, and that's focusing on role-specific knowledge. When you start pursuing finance, your intuition is that you quickly want to be able to pick up all the skills there are to know so that you can break in, and I relate that similarly to someone wanting to become a fighter. Let me explain why. If you really love fighting and you want to get good at it, you might start thinking first, I want to pick up wrestling, and then once you get good at wrestling, you think to yourself, hey, I'm gonna go learn some Muay Thai so that I can get good with my hands, and might as well, while I'm at it, do some Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu on the weekends. And sure, you might have a well-rounded fighting style where you're decent at all 3 types of fighting, but if you realize 3 years into fighting that you actually want to become a pro boxer, well then those fighting styles that you learn might help you out a little, but you would have been far better off if you had just spent the entire time focusing on boxing alone. Well, finance is kind of the same, where there's so many drastically different fields, except the difference in finance is that there's no mixed martial arts like there is in fighting. When it comes to your career, you want to be dialed into the specific knowledge that that career tree is going to be looking for. Now, if you don't know what career you want to pursue, then this video is a great resource to give you a brief overview of the main ones out there. But once you know where you at least want to start, then I'd open up your browser to do 2 things. 1, research the most important things to be familiar with in the path that you want to go into. So you could spend your free time learning how to forecast an income statement or learning how accrual accounting works, whatever really piques your interests. But if you decide that financial planning is the career that you want to pursue, then in-depth knowledge in those 2 areas is not going to give you a competitive advantage. What will give you a competitive advantage is becoming super familiar with what the core skills are by reading through articles or forums on what people who are actually in the field like to stay up to date with. Not only that though, but if you really want to separate yourself apart, then go a step further and become really really familiar with the specific industry you're eager to go into. If you want to go into software and technology investment banking, then you shouldn't spend most of your time reading up on M&A deals within the manufacturing industry. Same with corporate finance. If you want to go into the aerospace industry, well, aerospace recognizes expenses and revenue completely differently to any other area within finance. So if you're learning how a software company forecasts their revenue, yes, it's going to increase your skill set, but it's not the best use of your time. Go down the rabbit hole of learning catered knowledge, not just to the job, but specifically the industry you want to go into, and that will give you the biggest competitive advantage. All right, so the second thing that you could do within your browser is open up LinkedIn and find the exact role that you define as a dream opportunity in 3 different companies within the industry that you want to go into. Whatever similarities you find or what ChatGPT spews out are 100% what you're going to want to learn in addition to the knowledge that we talked about earlier. If you spend enough time doing all that I've mentioned so far, you're going to be really set up to enter into any finance career path. But if you want to earn multiple 6 figures and progress faster than typical within your career, then the most game-changing skill that you can pick up is public speaking. When you start out in your finance career, you can definitely do fine and progress with just technical skills. The thing is that people who progress very high up within companies quickly are all great at voicing their ideas. Being comfortable with presenting in group settings or learning how to convince others on your point of view is going to be the leading indicator of how much you're going to make 10 or more years into your career. If you're in college, you might be thinking, oh, I'll just learn that on the job. No. I'm telling you that unless if you already are a very confident public speaker, you're not going to become above average at this skill by just learning it while on the job. Join Toastmasters, join that debate club, apply for that volunteering leadership opportunity as early as you can, and get outside of your comfort zone. I know public speaking and presentations are a lot of people's #1 fear, but trust me when I say this, if you go out of your comfort zone and challenge yourself now, you're going to be thanking yourself so much for the benefits not just in your career that this will have, but also overall in your life. All you really need to learn when it comes to public speaking is how to concisely present in front of an audience, how to comfortably debate and respectfully challenge others in group settings, and when to speak and when not to speak. If you can nail those 3 things and all the technicals, then I can guarantee you that you will make a lot more than you're expecting in your career. But hear me out. If you want to take this one step further and not only succeed within finance, but also understand how to make the highest possible salary early on in your career, then this video right here outlines my biggest tips on how to do exactly that. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, talk soon.